Hey Lee, thanks for joining me on the video series with ThreatSpike. So you've been a ThreatSpike customer for quite a while now, but just talk me through how you came across ThreatSpike and at what point you realised it was a compelling proposition.
So we found them through a company called Transmitech. They're a reseller. They've been very good for us. But we already had two products from Semantic that we were trying out. So Blue Coat, Internet Filter, didn't work for us.
Mm.
And also their MSS service. And that wasn't a managed service, even though it's called MSS as a managed security solution. Um, Both weren't very cost effective, two different products. And ThreatSpike came in and showed us that they could offer us an EDR under a SOC with an internet filter that worked globally for our very small footprints that we have. And it was also very cost effective. So we really couldn't say no to what was being offered.
Brilliant. And has ThreatSpike really allowed you to dig into better visibility around threats so far? How have you found it?
I've spoken to a number of people about ThreatSpike,
Hmm.
sort of boutique EDR, and most people have never heard of them. But I tell them that it gives you sort of almost 360 degree of vision for what they offer. Um, Maybe not at the most depth that you could get if you bought a very point solution, uh,
Mm.
but it allows you to correlate everything that they can see and come back to you with machine learned or AI based incidents and respond to them in an effective manner. And if we need to dig deeper, we've never had really much of a challenge in that regard, especially with the expertise they have in their own teams.
Yeah, I bet you came away from the initial process thinking it's a lot of service for the price point, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we get arguments from senior level where they say, "Are we getting this for that price?" I'm like, yeah, that's why we've renewed sort of I think three times, four times now back to back. We've took additional services, and even with the additional services, there's no money grab there. It's a very good price point for a lot of service. I can't knock it. If I go and look at internet filters on their own, they're coming in pretty close to the price of what we're paying for the entire service.
Mm. And obviously, it's not just a technology solution. There's a lot of focus in cyber on technology solutions with brand names, but obviously, the SOC service could be considered equally or even more important. Do you see
Yeah,
it that way as well? And how's that side of the service been with ThreatSpike?
yeah. So we've used the SOC service both passive in terms of monitoring alerts, looking at our reports, generating reports. I've asked for custom reports and I've had them turned around as quick as I can ask for them. And that's without regard. And if it doesn't exist, they create it. And again, no cost to me at doing that, which is amazing.
Mm.
Um, and they're very keen to listen to my ideas and concepts. And hey, could we do this? Is that a possibility? Once I can explain and articulate what I need, generally they'll either give me what I want or a better solution.
Mm.
And at the same time, we've used them for incident response where we've had to. And obviously that's a very important thing. If we want them on a ad hoc call up, very cost effective. If we want them on a retainer, even more cost effective. So I've had no qualms with using them, and we've used some very experienced incident providers, response providers, and they've been equally as good and just as responsive for us. And they
Yeah.
understand their own security product, which is very useful.
Yeah, that blew me away when I joined, the fact that the incident response was part of the Blue service, because I've, been with customers in the past where we've sold incident response at upwards of £2,000 a day previously in my career. And, for a long period of time when they've suffered with ransomware attacks, to have that part of the service with no limits on it is a real differentiator.
Yeah. And if you extend yourself over to ThreatSpike Red alongside, there's options there that we took up in terms of incident retainer. So we're covered end to end as much as we can be. Um,
Mm.
and like I say, they know the product. It means they can talk to both sides. We're effectively building a purple team because we've got both blue and red, and then we just need to bring our own staff up to skill um, to work on the blue side. But they'll help us with that, and they've already said so.
Yeah, and to have that red service fixed price without having to worry about additional costs for each test must be a stress off your back anyway.
Well, it is one nice to go for more budget. And when we're building new products, we're rolling out new functionality, and again, the questions I go back to the team on ThreatSpike Red side and say, "Hey, could you do this test?" And they went, "Yeah, let's just check the schedule, find some space, get you in." And I'm like, "Well, what's the cost? You've already paid for this. Nothing else is going to come across your table, which is great, you know." And again, my CIO's sort of eyes sort of open up and go, "Lee, are you actually, convinced this is you're getting what you pay for?" I'm like, "Yes, and more, and you're going to be surprised how much we're getting out of this without any qualms." I've asked for, we're doing like 300 firewall rule sets checked as one of the tests. Um, that alone is probably worth, a fair bit of the cost that we're paying for the service. Uh,
Mm.
I don't. In my old service provider, we'd get 15 for 3 or 4 days worth of work, and if you know a pen tester, that's a few grand in itself. So yeah, more than happy with the pricing and what we're getting in terms of service at the moment.
Yeah, we've kind of done it because customers have moved away now from once a year pen testing to more of a continuous model. But also, I just found the whole process when a customer has been slapped with a requirement last minute on their desk and they're having to respond to that as soon as possible and having to go through scoping calls and sales calls. It's not ideal for the customer. It's more preferable if they've got a commercial relationship in place that they can just utilize. So you're fully taking advantage of all the features the ThreatSpike platform offers, both on the blue and red side, it sounds like.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we come to renewal, we obviously discuss, what else can we use, and we are fully pushing everything that we can do. And the service calls that I get on a monthly basis, which again is great and it's tracked. And I don't think I've got any other provider. We use Proofpoint and we use Microsoft and Cisco. Don't have any other provider that offers that level of service reviews. And the fact that we get progress every month, and we're able to really back and forth. This is the enhancements we would like. These are the things that are going to cause us pain at the moment that we'd like you to help us address. If ThreatSpike can't do it because it's just not in their wheelhouse, they'll tell us. At the same time, if they're capable and able to with the product, then there's normally no additional cost, no qualms. We just have to, schedule it in and work with them, and be a critical friend in terms of saying, this is what we exactly need to solve the problem we actually have. And the integrations that we get given are the ones we need. But again, they'll listen to us in terms of, I've got an integration, but I want it to do this. Because you've got like Office 365 and Microsoft 365. You can do so much with the product, but we need to target what we're actually going to do with the integration. There's no point in trying to do everything. But again, they're listening and they're taking that on board and working with us, which again is excellent. We moved away from companies like Semantic because they
Mm.
weren't listening to what we needed or weren't delivering enhancements. You know,
It just takes so long with the bigger companies. Like I've worked at bigger companies and I saw stuff on the product roadmap integrations wise that was there for 18 months. Whereas we had a customer who wanted a certain bit of functionality around email gateway and we just went and developed that for them. And sure enough, it outperformed their existing provider. So when you were having those conversations internally and you were using Symantec previously, at what point did you feel like, yeah, this is a really good solution and it's going to convince me to move away from what is a well-marketed brand in Symantec?
probably been about probably by the time I got the RFI back. Just what we was asking for when we knew it was a bit of a stretch. We wasn't expecting a product to be out on market that would actually probably hit all those requirements. And I've done RFIs on all our renewals. The last one we just did was we must have looked at about 8 or 9 different providers that we thought could hit the space. Nobody does everything that they do, and certainly not anywhere close to the price point. Or they try and tack on bells and whistles and charge you through the nose for it.
Mm.
They're like, well, that's a very point solution that you're saying we can't take out of the product, then that's how you're justifying your price. I don't want that. And ThreatSpike is, everything. I mean, the main one for me that they do tack in, which is it tends to justify the return on investment straight away anyway, is the email, it's the web filter.
Yep.
The web filter, as I said before, on its own, it almost justifies the cost. And then you add on everything else it does, which is, as good as anything I've seen on the market, especially for the price point. I don't know why you'd look anywhere else, really.
Yeah, I think a big part of that is the fact it's been, when we started the Red service, that's because we were doing our tests for various parts of compliance like ISO 27001. We were engaging with different vendors out there, and we just found the process frustrating. And we took those pain points into making ThreatSpike Red. So I think a big part of why everything's baked in rather than additional costs is we've had those frustrations ourselves, and we don't want to provide those to our customers, right?
Yeah, and the good thing as well with ThreatSpike Red is I know that those people, the same people who are going to come and do incident response for me, along with the people that are doing the SOC service, and they're going to work together. So I know they're very busy. ThreatSpike Red, they're working on all sorts of different products and services and customers. So I know they're knowledgeable. I know they're hot. I know they're ready, to jump on something if I need them to, without thinking, what's their experience levels like? What do they know? Can they prove to me that they would have, if they're going to do this check for me afterwards, after the incident, are they actually going to know where my vulnerabilities are? And we're using them right now for a red service, and they're finding things that I didn't know about. They're making sure that our overall pen testing service is more comprehensive. So they're going, hey, we've done a red team on you. By the way, did you know there was a couple of extra things you could have added to your scanning? Not to say we had vulnerabilities there, but just to make sure that they're in scope, is useful, because I want to make sure, the same as ThreatSpike Blue, the coverage is as broad and as wide as possible. It covers as much as possible. And again, I've never had any issues with that.
When you meet up with fellow IT security professionals at events, etc., and they ask you who you're using, give me a 30-second overview of ThreatSpike that you provide to them.
Well, so the way I always go is, I've got a boutique EDR. It may not give you, 100 foot of vision on one very specific issue, but it's going to give you 50 foot, 20 foot, whatever you want, on as much as it covers. And you're not buying 4, 5, 6 different products to try and cover all these different things and hoping that they talk to each other. Because
And getting dashboard fatigue with it and everything else.
Because we've got AD Audit from Zoho. It's a good product, and it does go very deep. But I've got integrations with ThreatSpike into O365 that gives me a lot, and Azure that gives me a lot of the same detail. Maybe not as deep, but it's enough to get the ball rolling on an instant to go in and check, and they then can correlate that with everything else. This has logged in. This has done this from this location. Oh, something else has happened on that machine. Windows Defender's picked up this. It pulls all that together, and we've then got a SOC at the back end looking at all that together and saying this is a fundamental product solution. Incident. So I don't get that with all the other point solutions. It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't indeed. Well, that's been very informatively. Thank you very much for that. Hope this service continues to go really well. And of course, if you've got any questions, just get in touch.
Thank you very much, Shane.
Have a good day. See ya. Bye.